Yeah.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Artist Blueprint. As usual, George and I are just trying to get it together because we're both clowns, and stuff that happens is we can't even do it this stuff on the air because it's so ridiculously stupid. But it's fun and it makes us laugh. So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you very much. And one of the things that we always like to say is that we know that you can be watching a lot of things, and if you're watching this right now, thank you because we appreciate you taking the time. And we're gonna have a great show. We're gonna be talking about the legend Dolly Parton. So please hang out with us. Alrighty, well, thank you very much. As I mentioned before, we're going to be talking about Dolly. Hello, Dolly. Um, and we talked about this because I'm living currently in Tennessee right now, and not too far. I think I'm about uh, literally I'm about 4 hours away from where she was born, and her home in Pittman. I think it's called Pittman County or Pittman Court or Pittman Circle or someplace. Um, Actually, I'll get the right place, so that's right. Respect the place. Um, do you have it there? Oh, here it is.
Right. It's called Oak Ridge.
All right. Pittman
There you go.
Center, Tennessee. So yeah, so she was born there, and she is a legend, and she's an incredible artist, and we wanted to pay honor to her and to talk about her accomplishments and talk about her influence and some of the influence that she's had on me growing up because in my house, Dolly Parton was a big deal in my house. Even though I grew up in the Bronx, my mom was a big fan and she introduced me to a lot of music. So yeah, that's why I wanted to do that. I think we're gonna have a good time. Before we do that, we're gonna give some love to one of our sponsors and take it away, George.
All right. Thank you, sir. So, the Artist Blueprint is brought to you by Wellness Resources, a family owned and operated nutritional supplement company providing the highest quality, clinically formulated supplements since 1985. It's a long time. They have some fantastic supplements, all different types of things. Pretty much everything you can think of. First, you got to check them out at myvitaminresource.com. Now, here's some great stuff. And if you want some absolute savings, especially this weekend, check it out. First, since you are our viewers and listeners, if you enter the promo code Artist Blueprint at checkout, you will get free shipping. Then, on top of that, every month they have 25% off specials. Okay, and this month they typically they have actually they're 25% off all their digestive supplements for May. Again, we know how important digestion is, but if you act now, this weekend only for Memorial Day, they are throwing on top of all that an extra 15% off for Memorial Day. So think about that. You get the free shipping, you get the 25% off, plus an extra 15% off if you act again this weekend only for Memorial Day. Okay, that is tremendous savings on amazing supplements that I use every single day. So check out the savings from Wellness Resources at myvitaminresource.com.
Cool, 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 cool. So okay, so Dolly Parton, I'm going to turn it over to George. We're going to try something a little bit different this week. One of the things I've noticed is that I talk a lot,
Just noticed that?
and and I always knew it. And sometimes I even stop myself and I say, "Sorry if I'm talking too much." People go, "No, it's okay." Um,
It's funny when you and I were what 15, 16 years old hanging out in my apartment learning how to play music. I kept going because I was going to say I was going to say, John, you talk too much, and I've held it in since then.
this long, it took 30 something years for you
Yes.
to finally come out and say, John, you're talking too much crap.
because he never let me get in a word in edgewise.
So anyway, um,
Oh, but
but what we're doing is
well,
gonna do a little differently.
yes. Well, first of all, we're going to pay tribute to an amazing, amazing, talented woman, Dolly Parton. And but before that, I just want to acknowledge really, really quick a great actor who she worked with in the movie 9 to 5, Mr. Dabney Coleman. Just recently passed away. He was what, 90?
It was, yeah,
That-
90, yeah, 90, pretty
90.
up there, like 97 or something.
Yeah, he was in his 90s. He was a just amazing actor, comedic actor. He did many different move films and stuff like that. Just one of the classics actors out there. But I just want to kind of give a shout out to him because he had an amazing career.
Yeah, amazing career. And Dabney Coleman is one of those guys that when you saw him, he was always good,
Yes,
right? Because there are
yes,
some actors
yes.
you see them on the street, they just do what they do because they are professionals and
Right.
they're gifted. And in this role, I can't imagine anyone playing it better in 9 to 5, which was such a great film when it came out and such a fun film, But yeah, it was a definite loss and a
Yep.
great life lived,
Yep.
and definitely gave the world a lot of entertaining moments and memories. So
Absolutely, absolutely. So, yeah. And as far as Dolly Parton goes, I mean, just what an incredible career. I mean, she's still going strong, still working, still out there doing amazing things. At I think what she's 78 now, and
78,
and
yeah,
looks tremendous.
yeah.
My daughter I was telling John that my daughter recently went on her senior trip to Tennessee, and had a chance to go to Dollywood.
Oh,
And
cool.
she thought it was fantastic. She learned a lot about Dolly and just got saw a lot of the great attractions and things that were there. And she actually bought me this cup, this Dolly Parton cup. She saw it and immediately thought of me, and of course, which is totally me. So loving this cup as well. So yeah,
Yeah,
so good stuff there.
yeah. The wig,
And
the blonde wig, and the boobs that she's sees you on the weekends when you're working.
yeah, I haven't worn that yet,
Just,
but
he said, "Oh, this reminds me of my dad on Saturday nights."
yeah, I'm actually going to drop her off at school wearing that.
Well, you'd be a hit nowadays.
You're right, absolutely.
Nowadays, they'll ask you to be a speaker. Can you do the commencement speech at graduation,
Imagine
please?
if I did the commencement speech with with the boobs and the
Graduates.
I'd like become like real famous for that. That would be great.
Well, some people have.
Absolutely, absolutely.
By the way,
So
George is kidding. He does not actually.
no, yeah.
You're gonna be like, can you send me some photos? Sickos out there.
But just some things about Dolly Parton, and we'll get into all a whole bunch of things. She grew up. I mean, her pretty much, very very poor. Her dad actually was didn't know how to read or write, and but she always had this sparkle in her, and there's one of the things that I was actually saying when I, have done research on her. You could see that she was born to do what she's doing. She completely just became a star, and just to this day is the star. I mean, she is a star.
Very, she's very smart.
Oh, extremely smart.
Like she's
Absolutely.
just very smart. I mean, and it's one of those things where you try to that every element hits perfectly,
Yes.
aligns perfectly, and it doesn't happen that often.
Right.
You can talk about these legends and stuff like that, but you know it really does not happen that often where you get someone that's beautiful, crazy talented, driven, smart,
Right.
and business smart, which she understood the business. You know, um, one of the anyway, I'll talk about that later. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Understood the business and knew what she wanted and just ran with it. Didn't stop. And thinking about it back then when she was coming up, she talks about it a lot too, especially when she was a teenager. We're talking about a very male dominated music industry at that
Oh
time.
man,
Okay,
yeah,
country music and all this. And she broke through that whole thing, as a teenage singer, just Simple, just simple.
Yeah.
You go just out there with a guitar, singing a
Yeah.
country
Yeah,
song.
it was what I always say about country artists and just singer songwriters. It's the authenticity,
Yes,
the sincerity.
yes.
When you hear them, because sometimes I'll laugh at some. Like I remember R&B went through a phase. Like I listen to R&B, and it's gonna go on a little rant, but just give me a second. But you go like R&B, for instance, right? Now you listen to like Luther Vandross, right? Marvin Gaye,
Hmm.
Smokey Robinson. Um, I don't know. These guys to me were authentic.
Yeah,
When they sang, there was no. When Luther Vandross went, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa," you know what I mean? You believed it.
yes,
And then it went through this phase where now everyone was coming up, and just because they can sing, now they were going like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, baby,"
right,
and it just would make me laugh because I just did not feel the sincerity coming through. I felt like they were imitating things. So
correct,
within all genres of music, that you have that.
right,
During the hair bands, right? You have bands like Guns N' Roses they were legitimate, they were real. You have Guns. Um, um, Not I guess they weren't really a hair band, but not Motley Crue. Well, Motley Crue. Motley Crue is a good example, right?
mm-hmm.
Not one of my favorite bands, but they were what they were. They were authentic. They were what they were, and
That's
they
right.
did that. And then from that came a bunch of other bands that then just got long hair, and then they just sing songs about certainly I won't name the bands or anything because people might like those bands and stuff. But to me, it was like that's where it loses, and I think every genre does that. And I
Yep,
think with Dolly, I think she was one of those original, authentic, singer songwriters, whether female or male, whatever. She's in the categories with all the legends
correct.
back there, the Hank Williams and
Yep,
all those. You know, because of the sincerity, and she came from that. You know
yes,
what I mean?
absolutely.
She's real. She's authentic.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
100%. She doesn't put on this. Yeah, she does a lot of the people just even in their personality when they're getting interviewed and stuff like that put on this thing. She doesn't. She is right up front, says what she feels, says what she means, it's just, but again, very genuine,
yeah,
extremely genuine. And that's the difference. I mean, when you look at her as a character, as a person, as a personality, there's nobody like her. Nobody.
yeah,
You could say there are people who have tried to sing like her maybe or were influenced with her, but there's nobody like her.
yep.
Just the entire package. She just, that's one of those. She's one of those people that when they made her, that was it. you
Oh
know,
yeah, she's just like, yeah. I mean, the mold was broken.
absolutely, absolutely. And just I'll throw some facts out as we go. But one of the great facts, actually, that I didn't even realize, was that she holds 3 Guinness World Records.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes, one for most decades with a top 20 hit on the U.S. Hot Country. Yeah, on and 20 that most decades with a top 20 hit on the U.S. Hot Country Songs chart. Okay, that's one. The next is one for most hits on U.S. Hot Country Songs chart by a female artist.
Wow.
And the third is one for most number one hits on the U.S. Hot Country Songs chart by a female artist.
I had no idea.
Yeah, 3 world records.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean that says it all right there. She also, I know she has like, she's still on top for the most number ones. She's got 25 number one.
yeah,
I mean,
incredible.
pretty incredible. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Um, One of the uh, the thing that I always liked about Dolly when growing up, was whenever she showed up, she was in a, I mean, she was on so many shows, and she was on talk shows, and then she was being interviewed, or she was performing or whatever it was. But you saw her quite a lot,
Hmm.
where at a time where we didn't have social media and there was no cable televisions, where we're just kind of starting out, or not even really. I guess like in the 80s or something, MTV and all that. But she wasn't really an MTV person. But yet
Correct.
she was out there a lot.
Right.
I
You're
mean,
right.
right? It was
Yeah.
like it just seemed like if you weren't on MTV back then, you weren't really seen that much anywhere else.
That's right.
You
That's
weren't a guest. You know, Johnny Carson wasn't going to invite you to sit on the couch if you're Hall and Oates. You might be the musical guest, and you'll come in and you'll sing a song. But Dolly would come in, sing a song, and sit on the couch and then
yes.
talk.
Yes.
And she did that on all the shows, and it was like people just would gravitated towards her, and it's because of her positivity.
Oh, absolutely.
She's
Absolutely.
just she persevered through so much, and I think she's really grateful for that.
Hmm.
And she shows it. One of the things we were talking about her being business savvy. Well, that song she wrote, "I Will Always Love You," which I think a few people have heard. Um, she wrote that song, and Elvis Presley wanted it.
Wanted it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they said, well, generally you give the writing rights, or 50% of it go to them, to
Yeah.
they take the publishing and stuff, and she just refused to do that. And I thought, wow, that's like amazing, because she wrote it so long ago. She wasn't fully established. I mean, she was doing okay, but she wasn't like boom, you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And and she said no, and she turned them down, and she held on,
He
and
said
she
no to
held on.
Elvis.
I know. Can you imagine that? And it's kind. I know she talks about that, and she said, it would have been an honor to have Elvis do one of her songs,
Yep.
but not at that cost. She just, those are her babies, those songs, and she really cherishes them, and just didn't want to just do that. But it paid off later on when
When yeah.
Whitney covered that sucker.
Yeah, yeah, it was,
You know.
and she talks about it. She says that she loves that, loves the version and loves
Hmm.
what she did with it,
Yeah.
and did a great job with it, and so
Yeah.
it's and that's her personality.
Yeah.
And Dolly, growing up, one of her big breaks was on a show called The Porter Wagner Show.
Yes. Yeah. Porter was with. She was with him like for 7 years.
Yeah, yeah, and the funny thing is that Porter Wagner apparently had a sidekick previous to that,
Right.
and Dolly came in, and they were a lot of people didn't like that. They didn't accept her at first because he
Yeah.
literally was replacing the sidekick with Dolly Parton. A lot of people
Yeah.
didn't think
Yeah.
that was going to work.
Yeah. I think I can't remember her name, but it was like Jean something,
Yeah,
and yeah, she covered she covered that space pretty well after the other one, but she had to fight off because she used to get booed.
yes, right
She
in
used
the
to get
beginning. Yeah,
booed,
hmm
at the beginning, and then she just she persevered. I mean, that's what she does.
yeah,
I mean, she
yeah,
just perseveres. She doesn't cave. She doesn't go down on it. She just says, "I'm gonna just keep moving forward," and then she just was able to. And he did a lot for her,
hmm
Wagner and stuff, and he did. He helped her a lot, and he helped her. And that song he wrote for her, "I Will Always Love You."
right, right.
He wrote. I'm sorry, she
She
wrote for
wrote for
him.
him. Yes.
Yeah, and which was like, it's very sweet. You know what I mean? Because she's been married for 40,
No,
oh,
it's 50 something
50,
years now.
yeah,
Yeah.
50 something years now, right? Like 50
Yep.
something years. To the same dude
Yep.
who, like, pretty much, I've never even seen a picture of him. I
Well, he
might be able to find a photo or something,
yeah,
but
it's very difficult. He actually went in the early days because they it's interesting. They met when she was young. I
yeah,
think it was outside. I don't know if it was outside some diner or outside of some kind of
she
stop or
was
truck.
18 years
Yeah,
old,
yeah, yeah,
and he was
absolutely.
like 21 or something like that,
Yeah,
and that's when they met.
they met. Yeah, and so in the beginning, after they got married and stuff, he went to a few parties with her. He showed up in a few parties with her, the whole celebrity thing, and he hated it, hated
Yeah,
every second of it.
yeah,
He said he felt fake. He felt like he just wasn't himself. And he told her after that. She talks about this. He told her after that.
yeah,
He says, listen, I love you, and I want you to do this and be as big as you want to be, but I am not going to be a part of that. I'm not going to be out there. He goes, I like my solitude. I don't want to be in show business. So I will stay home and you go out there and you do your thing. And
yeah.
and it's
And he
worked.
had a successful business too. I mean, he
Yeah.
was a successful businessman, and he just, yeah. Some people, that lifestyle is just not for a lot of people. And I think she was really, really fortunate to find someone who was okay with giving that much
Right.
freedom, where she has to go, she's away a lot and she's got to go do her shows and all that, and just be completely fine. And then she comes home and she's home and it's just like a regular thing. I think that that's like a wonderful thing.
Yeah, think about what it's, the majority of these relationships in Hollywood or in music and stuff never last. And a lot of the reason is because of the separation.
Right.
And when you find somebody, not only on really on both sides, right? Because he's good with her being all over the world and doing all this stuff, but she's also in her mind, that's her man, and no matter
Yeah.
where I go in the world, I'm coming home to him, and that's
Yeah.
where I'm staying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she still says, even to this day, she says we still have a great relationship. We're like best friends, and that's amazing. I mean, you
I think that's so important, in when you're, on this kind of journey of artistic journey, right? To have someone that's because that's a dynamic that really can screw things up. You know what I mean?
correct,
Like,
correct,
you can be, especially, as a guy, we're guys, right? And we're flawed by so many different things that it's really difficult to get out there and then stay focused
yeah,
if you don't have that stability at home that
that's right.
you have to come home to. And I think that that to me is a huge reason why that really worked for her. Was she had the stability of that dynamic early in her career, where she didn't have to go out there and think about finding a guy, or think about falling in love. What if I fall in love today? Or what if I
Right.
fall in love tomorrow? And then her mind now is cluttered with that thought, with
Yes.
that idea of having to find love. And,
Hmm.
and, and maybe she wouldn't need that, but who knows? You don't know. But she found it so early on that it was just a wonderful way for her just to be like, I got that. That part is done. The next thing is to take over the world, and she did that. That's awesome.
Incredible. So another. So yeah, she had the hit. I will always love you, or that hit.
Which, by
Um,
the way, I was gonna just quickly
yeah.
also say that Whitney Houston recorded that. They sent it to Clive Davis, and Clive Davis heard it. They brought her in. They said, "Listen, we brought Whitney in. We cut the record. It's just a rough draft. We're sending it to Clive." Clive got the rough draft. He heard it. He loved it.
Right.
He was like, "It's great." And she said, "Okay." So they said, "Okay, I'm glad you like it. We're gonna put her in the studio and we're gonna do it. We're gonna record it the right way." And he's like, "No, what you sent me, that should be the
That's the
record.
one. Yeah.
That's the one."
I
And
did
then
hear that. Yeah.
yeah, and they were like, "No, no, no, no. There's there's nothing on there. It was just it's very bland. We need to actually put more strings, and we're gonna do a whole bunch of things." And he was like, "Don't you dare." So what he did was they were gonna bring her into the studio again. So he released. He's Clive Davis.
Yeah. Of course.
So he was like, he took the copy that he had and he released that before he did something. I don't know what he did because he got his sources, but he put it out before they can go back in the studio, and then that's the version that we hear today. And I'm thinking to
Unbelievable.
myself, well, what were they gonna do?
I know.
What do you think you're gonna make better than that? I
Yeah.
mean,
Agree.
especially yeah. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. That song has lived through Elvis, Dolly. It was a hit with Dolly too. Not a
Yeah.
huge
Sure.
hit, but it was a hit.
Sure.
And then Whitney, and then that whole thing happened, and then they wanted to change it, and then when I had, and then and then it ends up being literally the biggest song of all time during that. At that point, it was the biggest song, it was the biggest selling soundtrack
Yeah.
in the history of, of soundtracks. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. Anyway, I just wanted to say that.
Yeah. That's. I love. I actually remember hearing that story, and I was like,
Yeah,
wow. I was like shocked. But yeah, you wonder what they would have put on that. It's
I have no
crazy.
idea.
But another, besides that song, another song that she wrote around the same time was Jolene.
Yeah, that was in,
Jolene was one of her, other big hits, and I don't know if maybe people don't know, but she actually wrote that song because of a bank teller
That was
that was apparently giving her husband that the eye,
yeah, flirting with her
was
husband.
flirting with her husband, and and if you listen to the lyrics of the song, it actually makes total sense. Where you're like,
Yeah,
don't take my man away, that type of
yeah,
thing.
yeah. That's one of those songs. Being in Nashville, I don't think I've ever been anywhere where someone hasn't sung that song. Like I go every, I mean, you go down to Broadway, just walk down Broadway for 10 minutes, and you're gonna hear Jolene
Really
being sung from different
interesting.
places. Oh yeah, yeah, that song, that one, Tennessee Whiskey
Mm,
is another one. It's just sung, it's oversung. It
wow.
depends who's singing it too. Some people do good versions of it. Like I was watching last Friday. Oh, last Friday. Well, I don't remember when, but last week I went to go see Jeff Woods perform. He's a local singer here, a really great singer. He did a version of Tennessee Whiskey, and
Mm,
and it was great. I loved it. Like
hmm
he had his own twist to it. He had his own inflections, and then some
right,
people just do the Chris Stapleton version, which
right.
then it's like you're doing that version, which and that's a good version. I mean, that's the version, people
Mm.
love. But it's a song that's just done a lot, and it's like Jolene. Jolene has done a whole lot, and here in that one also, Garth Brooks, uh, "Friends in Low Places." Oh
Really
my! Everywhere you go, someone is singing "Friends in Low Places," and then it's such a party singing song.
yeah, yeah.
So when it gets to that point, it's not alright. I got friends. Everybody in low places. Everybody's drunk and singing, and so it's such a an anthem.
Right.
That it just gets it gets played a lot because of that. And it's a party town, so obviously you want to play those songs because that's
Right.
what people want to hear. But yeah, no, Jolene, great song.
Hmm. Hmm.
My kids love that song. It's on my playlist, and I
Oh
play it in
wow.
the car all the time. And my kids love Dolly Parton. My sister, actually, my sister loved Dolly Parton. My
Really?
older
Oh, I didn't
sister,
know
yeah,
that.
yeah, my older sister loved Dolly Parton. Angie, she loved Dolly, and so we would listen to Dolly and Kenny Rogers and all that stuff. But my daughter also now is really starting to get into Dolly Parton stuff and learn more
Nice.
about her and stuff. So she loves the songs, and Jolene is one of them that plays in the car all the time.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Yeah,
Just some more stuff on her. Another interesting one is that well, she's famous for her wigs,
right, right.
and she apparently has over 300 of them.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody's ever seen her without one.
That's yeah, exactly. And when they even asked her like on red carpets and stuff like that, what was the hardest thing? And she, oh my, or was it that you couldn't come without? Oh my wig and my makeup. That's apparently
Yeah.
she even sleeps in her makeup too. She says,
Oh gosh,
which
really?
is crazy. Yeah. So 300 wigs plus the makeup. She talks about she even makes fun of herself. She says that a lot of times she's so happy because of the Botox.
Right, right. Yeah, that's great. I've
you
heard
know
that
but
before.
again, I love that about her because
Yeah,
she can even just make fun of herself. She's like,
she's
this is
doing what
me,
she
this is
wants
what I
to do.
do.
Yeah, she wants to do what she wants to do. Yeah, she does. She has nothing to prove.
No,
You know
no.
what I mean? She has nothing to prove. Her songs are, the fact that she wants to do that, whatever she's doing, Botox wise, her songs are so iconic and so good
Hmm.
that, and by the way, the songs that we're talking about are the ones that everyone's heard.
Of course.
These are the ones that are really famous. She's got a tremendous catalog. I mean, if you and I've done this numerous times. If you go on to like one of the streaming channels, I'm not promoting streaming. I prefer you go out and buy all her music. But if you were, it still helps get her music recognized. Go to the streaming and go to the This Is Dolly section of the like Spotify's, for instance, and just hit play and hit random, have it doing in different sequence,
Hmm.
and you hear songs that you're like, man, this is a freaking great song. I never heard this song before. Like, and covers with, duets, I should say, with people that, oh, I didn't know they did a duet together, and because
Yep.
she's so, her and like Kenny Rogers duets are synonymous, and
Of course.
and that kind of stuff. But she's done a lot of duets with a lot of people, great people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so if you watch her, it's pretty wild.
When I was a kid, again, not being up on my music when I was like really really young, but the one song that always hit me with her first, that really introduced me to her, and we're talking about when I was, maybe 10, 9 or 10 years old, that was "Here You Come Again."
Yeah.
What a great tune that is!
Great. So that
Holy
was like
cow!
that was one of her first big
Yeah,
hits.
that's the one that
The one
first, because
that
it
launched
was all
her.
over the place.
Yeah, and she didn't write that song, by the way. That wasn't written by her.
Oh, interesting. I didn't
Yeah,
know
yeah,
that
that
one.
wasn't
Yeah,
written by her. That was
but
they wanted to kind of get her that hit.
okay.
They wanted to kind of get her that hit, and they had this song, and they were like, "Oh, this song is going to be a hit. Whoever sings it." And I think it was originally it was supposed to be sung. This might be wrong, but it was supposed to be sung by I can't remember her name now. She's um, I can't. Anyway, it's supposed to be sung by someone from the '70s
Hmm.
that was famous in the '70s and sang a lot of these kind of songs, like Angie Baby.
Oh, okay.
That ain't no way to treat a lady, no way to
Right.
treat your baby.
Yes.
What was her name?
Oh, not Helen Reddy.
It's like a Helen Reddy. I
Like
think it's Helen.
right?
I
Is it
think it might
Helen
be
Reddy?
Helen Reddy. I think it's
Maybe it is
Helen
Helen
Reddy.
Reddy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that song was supposed to be for Helen Reddy, I believe. And you can kind
Ah,
of hear it like,
yes.
"Here come again." You could hear kind of
Absolutely.
Helen do that as well. Um, it was somebody like that. I can't remember, but anyway, Dolly got the song and made it a number one hit, and it was a huge hit. It was a hit. It was a number one hit like on country, pop,
Yep.
and some other, and I think UK or something, charts and stuff like that. It was like that was a song. I mean, that was a song that crossed over, because
Yeah.
country music used to be country music,
Right.
and you wouldn't
Exactly.
hear it on top 40 radio,
Right.
but there were artists there, these certain artists like Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers, were, able to cross over with these monster hits. And one of the reasons, I think like Kenny Rogers, with like Lady, that
Mm.
was written by Lionel Richie,
Yep.
and um, and then Islands in the Stream, which Dolly and Kenny sang,
Right.
and that song was written by the Bee Gees.
Ah, yes, that's right. Yes, I
Yeah,
remember
that was
that. Yeah.
I think I don't know if it was the whole Bee Gees. I think it might have been just been Barry, but
Hmm.
I think the Bee Gees, the, the Bee Gees did write that song, and and they actually did background vocals. So if you ever hear the recording, you can hear "Islands in this Stream." That is why we are.
But the Bee Gees were like, at that point,
Iconic.
they were everywhere.
Oh man,
They
yeah,
backed up so many people. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
and they've written a lot of songs that people don't even know they wrote. That,
That's right. That's
we should
yep.
do a whole Bee Gees episode.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
They've done some incredible songs, man. They've written some, and they're one of my favorite groups. Is some of their classic songs. But anyway, so what were we talking about? Yeah,
Yeah, so that no, I was just mentioning that song was like really what introduced me to her as a young kid.
yeah,
And I think my mother, if I remember correctly, my mother had her 45, and that was
oh yeah,
probably, I think that was the song on it. So that was one of the things. And then from that, and then that was 77 that song came out. Then that's what she was really starting to become more mainstream. Then 1980, what 79, 80, they come out with the movie 9 to 5,
yeah,
and she is one of the three main characters. Well, Dabney Coleman, of course, but she's one of the three women in the movie. And
yeah,
then she writes the song for the actual movie called the 9 to 5, which completely explodes.
yeah. And Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin, and Dolly
Yes.
Parton. And Dolly was really, she talks about this. She said she really wasn't playing. She was playing a character, but it was very much similar to she was a country girl, in the big city, and it's sort of like she went into that role really, really confidently and really, really just great, and
Hmm.
she wrote this song like fairly quickly and came into it. There's a whole bigger story. By the way, there's a documentary if anybody's interested, if you want to watch it. There's a really good documentary that I saw it on Netflix and it was really great. I went to go see it. I think they pulled it off of
Yeah.
Netflix now for whatever. Well, because they're assholes. But um, so it's no longer on there. But you can get it like maybe on I can't remember the name of the Amazon or something, Amazon Prime or something. And you can buy it for like $3. But it really goes into more details on the 9 to 5 and how that evolution happened and how she got the role and then how they asked her to write the songs,
Right.
and she wrote that song. And same thing with some other work that she did, and the stories are always interesting because it's like she's such a genius. When the musical came out, that she had a musical
Yeah.
that did really well. The music did really well. The musical I think closed fairly quickly, but um, she wrote all the songs for the musical, and she was working with the singers, with the performers and everything, and she would come up with lines like real on the spot and melodies on the spot, and she would just sing it to them, and she said, "No, like this," and they'd be like, "Oh my god, that's like," they get chills because she's so connected to that wavelength that we talked
Right.
about, so
Yes.
high level, and she just lives in that space where she can just consistently create at that high level. It's really remarkable. But yeah, that 9 to 5 song was such a hit, and it was sort of an anthem.
Yeah. It was.
It was an
It was.
anthem. It was women's movements. It was
Hmm.
the whole, you know, the whole. I think started the Me Too movement.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Although, yeah,
they
although,
were actually saying before, prior to the Me Too movement, this was part. This was kind of what that
yeah,
was at that time.
yeah. It's funny. Dolly's been asked numerous times about these kinds of political movements and these kinds of you know different ideologies or whatever, and she always backs away. Not backs away in a way that she doesn't want. She's afraid, but
Right.
she says, she doesn't have to answer that. It's like the song should represent whatever the listener wants it to be.
Yes.
And that's really what matters. And I kind of respect that so much more because now in today's world, and I mean, we've all fallen guilty of having our little political opinions and having our views of like what we think, and at the end of the day, it's like I'm I consider myself, an entertainer more than anything else, right? That's what
Right.
I am. So it's sort of like what Elvis said on that clip. He's like, where they asked him about the war or something, and
Hmm.
about the and what do you think about the people that are protesting the war, and he just he said, I just rather keep that opinion to myself. I'm an
Yeah.
entertainer and I don't want to. And then he said, do you think other entertainers should also keep their opinions to themselves? And he was like, no. People could do whatever they want. But you see
Absolutely.
how they want you
Of
to get
course.
it, to have an opinion, like, and
Right.
it's like, why should and I'm not a celebrity, but why should, like, if I was a famous celebrity, why would what I say matters to influence someone just because you know who I am? Just
Yeah.
because you know who I am, then you should do what I'm doing? No, you know what I mean? Nobody, you don't know me.
Yeah. I wish a lot of people or celebrities had that thought
Yeah, but
process,
that's
but
the
they.
thing, that it's not their fault because it's like they get asked, and they're into it, obviously, right?
Yeah.
They're passionate about it, and they have a strong opinion about it. But at the same time, there's things that you can do behind the scenes if you have a really strong opinion. Like if you want, voter registration, go down and see what's happening at the border. If you really want to get it, take a trip, pay some money to some organization that's doing the work that you want to do. Go pay a visit. Do you have to go up on camera and call out a political person because you don't like them of what they're
Mm.
doing? it just it to me it lessens the artist, because
Right.
then you're not just an artist anymore. You're not that character that created those monumental moments for us on
Mhm.
film, or musical events or musical songs or these things. Now you're also this thing that has this strong opinion and hates all of these people.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for me, I'm like, and I've listen. I'm guilty of it. I've made that mistake myself, and I've screwed up, and I've said things that I know I shouldn't have said. And I'm not saying that I even won't. I'm not a perfect person, but my point on it is that Dolly just never really got into that. I mean, do we know anything about
No.
what she thinks
No.
about
No.
anything?
And
Like,
that's it's that thing, right? Because
it's fascinating.
I respect those type of people, those
Yeah, and
artists
she's
who are
just an entertainer.
correct, who are on top of the world, but you don't
Yeah,
hear anything about them. They
yeah.
go, they do their work, they love their work, they give back, they do all these things, but they're not
Yeah.
involved in
I can't.
controversy
I'm
or
trying to think
craziness.
of who else. I was thinking maybe Sting.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
I've never
yeah.
seen Sting in a some kind of a debate about something or some
No, no, he doesn't get
right?
involved in that stuff either. No.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's
yeah. I
true.
think he's but there's certain artists that they just stick to the now. There's a difference also if you're getting involved with, like, let's say you're an actor and the actors union or the studios are abusing, and you're out there battling the studios, and you have an opinion on the studio. That's different soapbox, right?
That's
Because
part
that's
of your job,
your
though.
craft. Yeah,
Right.
it's like protecting your art.
Correct. Correct.
And that's a different thing. So, like, if like Prince, for instance, right, who I love, and I thought he was just one of the greatest artists ever. you know, he talked a lot about the record industry. I mean, he battled them all the way. He
That's
changed
right.
his freaking name and went away, and did his own thing. And he talked about it, not a lot, but he did talk about the abuse that was happening with the music industry. And
Yeah.
he called out things 20 years ago that are happening today.
True.
So for me, when an artist like somebody like Dolly, is, you look at them and you just think songs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
Like, I can't look at her and think, like, there's certain artists now that I look at and I also think, okay, a Biden hater, a Trump hater.
Right. Right.
I look at them now. They have this now. They're in a, and it's not that I want to look at anybody that way. It's just that they've put themselves in that position,
Correct.
and
Correct.
that's just now they've segregated themselves into a section. So now for me, it's like I've lost a little bit of the. I still respect their art, you know what I
Sure.
mean? But and I look at Dolly, and what do we think? I think of Dolly. I think of Jolene. I think of Nine to
Yes.
Five. I think of I love that song, the Heart Candy Christmas.
Hmm.
Great songs like that, and that's what I think about. Which
It's
is, I
funny.
think,
They asked her about Hollywood in general. I remember in one of the interviews, and she said, and she was up front, and she said, she goes, yeah, she goes, I'm not going to say that I was never put in positions that were uncomfortable, that people expected me to do things. She
yeah,
says, but she goes, I always found a way to talk my way out of it.
yeah,
And she says, and if I didn't, she goes, I took, and this is what I respect about, because she took responsibility. She
correct,
didn't cry and say, oh, this guy. No, she said, I took my way out of it. And she goes, and if my temper had to come out, then it came out. And
yeah,
she goes, and I got out of there when I needed to. She
yeah,
says, but she goes, yeah, it happened. She says, but I understand that it's part of it. She goes, but you don't have to participate in it. And
correct.
I was like, wow,
That to me is golden. I mean,
yeah, it is absolutely
and that's really what's happening in Hollywood, and just in entertainment industry as a whole, probably more in Hollywood,
right.
that there are, you know, it's things are hitting the fan right now.
Yeah,
In a lot of things, the whole thing with what's his name, the P Diddy guy.
mm-hmm.
That whole thing just hit the fan.
Yeah,
I don't know what went on there, but I did see the video, and
yeah. It's not.
that's you don't do that.
Nope.
I don't care. You don't do that. You
Right.
just don't. And then, but there's certain things, like the R. Kelly stuff, you just don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Go hide in a cave somewhere if you want to go do that, but don't go out and destroy people's lives. And then all this other stuff is coming out now, and things are just like dropping. I mean, things are coming out like, and
Yeah.
they're big things, and they're only going to get bigger right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so integrity, keeping your integrity, and yes, risking the fact that you may never be famous or rich.
Hmm.
That is the risk you're taking,
Correct.
and so what? You're gonna take your last breath with full integrity, and you're gonna go meet your maker or whatever your belief is. You're gonna go there in peace,
Yes.
in confidence, knowing that you made decisions based on integrity and you kept your integrity in. Man, there's nothing better than telling someone no, when you know that it's the wrong thing to do. I do that, man. I won't talk about some of the stories, but in Tennessee, you meet a lot of people, and
Right.
it's happening. I've had people tell me how to treat the artists,
Yeah. That's
how to treat them and like in a bad way.
right.
Like
Wow.
how I had a guy tell me how to trick them
Oh.
to sign something that then you can get them to do. I mean, I remember just looking at this guy, and I was like, I kept my full integrity, and
Sure.
I said I will never do anything like that to anybody because I believe in God and I don't want to go to hell. And then
Look at that.
he kind of turned white a little bit. He's like, no, 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 that's not what I'm saying. You don't know what I'm saying. No, no, that's not what I'm saying. Now I know what you're saying, man. But this is what they do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if nobody calls them out, or if somebody says, "Well, I mean, maybe I could," if no, you don't do that. You say no. You say no. I'm not doing that. And that's why Dolly is what she is and who she is. She's a freaking legend. Nobody is going to come close to that. As a matter of fact,
Agreed.
there's certain artists that nobody's going to come close to. And if you look at them, they may have had their issues, but they kept their integrity.
Right.
And one Prince that I spoke about,
Hmm.
Prince had his issues. I know. Honestly, I don't know what happened to Prince
Yeah.
during those lives. I don't know how we lost Prince, to be honest with you, because he seemed smarter than that, and
Hmm.
that gets into the whole conspiracy thing, right?
Right.
But he's one of them. He kept his integrity. He took all his rights. He said, "All right, you guys only signed Prince. I ain't Prince.
Yeah. Yep. That's right.
I changed my name. You know, um, and Dolly is definitely one of them. Believe it or not, I think Elvis had a lot of opportunities to do a lot of things that he did not do.
Right.
And I think one of the things he hated doing the most was the movies, especially at the end. I think he wanted to do real movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you look at some of his early work, if you look at Jailhouse Rock and you look at Love Me Tender, those were two classic films that he actually did a really good job. I mean, he did a good job, so much so that even what's the guy who died in a car crash?
Oh, James Dean.
James Dean even admired his work,
Mm.
and James Dean and him were sort of the same kind of age at the time. But then they wanted him to, like, well, all right, you can only just sing one song per movie, right? So Love Me Tender, and then Jailhouse Rock, and then from then on, all the movies. Now he's an ice cream salesman that sings, and it just went from there to there to there. So you could say, okay, well, he didn't keep his integrity on some of those things like that, but still he got out of the contract because he did sign a contract.
Yeah.
So as soon as he finished the contract, he went back on the road and stuff, and drugs and stuff like that will always kill somebody. But when you keep your integrity, you're thought of later on in such a much better light. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, some of the artists that recent. I mean, look at Diddy, right? I mean,
Mm.
the guy could have, shoulda, woulda, right? Been like Mister Incredible,
Yep.
and he went the other way. And now, is he gonna ever be? Is there anything salvageable about that? No,
No. No.
no, I
Absolutely
don't
not.
think so. I don't think
Absolutely
so.
not.
I'm sure they'll try.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah,
they'll try, but it ain't gonna reach. It ain't gonna reach where it's supposed to. I mean, look what happened to OJ.
that's right.
You
That's
know,
right.
he. I've never in my entire life, uh, and I don't think you can find anybody that was a celebrity that died that people were so vicious about their
Mm,
death.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, I mean,
true, true.
maybe if there was the internet during Hitler and when Hitler died, I can understand that, you know, or one of these evil men. But I'm a guy who was a celebrity, a football star, a Hall of Famer, all the things that he was, and he dies and he is completely trashed.
Yeah,
Like it's unbelievable. I never saw anything like it. But this is integrity,
you're
and,
right.
and murder and murder. You don't murder people.
Well,
Um,
yeah, there's
yeah,
that too.
that's one of the things.
I just want to really wrap up real quick on the 9 to 5 thing for Dolly. Is that
Working 9 to 5.
that original song was one of 2 songs that she was nominated for an Academy Award.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
Hard Candy Christmas, I think, was the other one.
No, the other one was Traveling Through.
Oh, on that same movie? Oh,
No, no, no. That's from 2005.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought she was nominated for Hard Candy. Man, Hard Candy Christmas is such a great
It is.
song,
It is a great song.
right?
Yes,
I mean,
agree.
it's such a great,
Yes,
and it's covered a lot, by so many artists. But
absolutely.
melodically, it's like such a freaking catchy ass song, man.
Yep.
I mean, she's got songs like that. If you listen to her catalog, she's got songs like that, like just songs that probably not that many people have heard as part of her catalog that are just
That's right.
brilliant.
That's right.
She's a special artist. Um, I wanna that was from this film right here, which was the
Ah,
best little
yes, Best
whorehouse.
Little Whorehouse in Texas. Yep.
Um, and that was a controversial movie when it came out. Obviously, not many people in a title write the best little whorehouse in
You
Texas.
can't do that today.
You can have a best little whorehouse in Texas. You just
You
can't
can
really.
have one, but you can't say you can't.
Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I bet that there still is a best little whorehouse in Texas somewhere.
Oh, maybe. Could
There's
be.
got to be a best little whorehouse in every state. Come on, George. Where's yours?
Listen, I closed that thing
Remember
down a
the
while back. I know I'm in the country up here, but
You're part of the country club, the best little country club in whorehouse in Texas.
it's like Norm when he walks in. George.
I don't know how they know me here. Lucky guess. But yeah, that film was also a very entertaining film. But we didn't talk about. I wanted to just talk a little bit about her collaboration with Kenny
Oh
Rogers.
yes, yes, definitely.
They had such an amazing career together that it itself should be a film, and I don't know why it hasn't been developed into a film, because there was one thing that you always kind of like got from them when they were on stage, that they loved each other, but you never got that they were romantic.
Right.
Isn't that
Yes.
interesting?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, they're singing like, this passionate songs, and they sang other songs together as well that were very, very romantic. But you always got that they loved each other, but there was never this romantic thing, and I always thought that was an amazing contribution, because they were both obviously happily married, and they were both, but they're artists, and
Yeah.
that's what an artist does. An artist creates the moment to
Right.
deliver that performance, at the highest level possible, to create the effect that art was supposed to create in the first place.
Right.
So consistently doing that, that's what an artist does, right? An artist creates a thing, right? Shares it,
Yeah.
it creates an effect, and then has to share it again, but has to create that effect again. This is
Yes. That's
why
right.
this is why we went to go see Rush
Oh
times, right? Because
yes.
if you got to see them once and it was just okay, well then you left and you're thinking, well, okay, that was good, but I don't have to go again. I
Hmm.
did, but no, we had to go again because it was so great,
Right.
and that's why I go here in Nashville. I have certain artists that I go. Jeff Woods is one of them. I go see him all whenever he's playing somewhere. I go see him, and he knows me now. And he's like, "Hey, what's up?" On stage, he'll be like, "Hey, what's up, John?" From stage, and I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" and he's just a really cool guy and a great singer. So when I
Mm.
hear that, I'm thinking, all right, I got to support. I got to support these artists that consistently bring it,
Yes.
and that's something that they do.
Well, it's kind of like going back to the when Whitney Houston did the "I Will Always Love You" song in that for that movie. When she sang that song, you can feel that oozing out of her.
Yeah,
You know, it's like she. It was like you sang that song, and it was like she was singing it to you. That she loved you. You know what I'm saying? Every time you, and to this day, when you hear that song, you're like, "Holy
yeah.
cow!" Just
Whitney, and that's another episode.
yeah.
Whitney is an incredible force. I mean, when she first came on the scene, and my mom used to make tease me because I was madly in love with her. And
Mm.
whenever she would come up, and she would whatever song it was, I want to dance with somebody, or um, I mean, just all so many just great songs. The ballads what was that song? I want to run with you.
Yeah, yeah, yes, yeah. I think it's "I Want to Run to You," is it,
Run to you, yeah.
or
Oh
something like that?
man,
Yeah.
and all those songs, they were just so great. But she also just had this incredible energy about her.
Hmm.
She was on
Hmm.
stage, so she took that song by Dolly and in, just I mean, just incredible, made it her own.
Yeah.
And it was just such a powerful, powerful performance. And again, a big loss. It's funny we're talking about all these great artists, that and as I look back, I'm realizing that a lot of them died, unfortunately, because of drugs.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking maybe one day we should, talk about that. We had on Mr. Bobby Wiggins on the show, who is who's a powerhouse in the for drugs for uh, a drug-free world international, which is an organization that educates people on what the effects of drugs. And he was on our show, and we talked so much about that, and we talked about losing artists, and we talked, I think that'd be another conversation to have because, I mean, I mentioned Elvis, I
Hmm.
mentioned Prince, I mentioned Whitney. I'm like,
Yeah.
and this is an episode about Dolly, who's not never had any issue and was never tied to anything uh,
Correct.
like that. Um, but at the same time, we're looking at this is what she accomplished. She's 78 years old. She's still going strong, still writing, still performing, still touring, still doing all that, and why? Because she kept her integrity in and she's stayed clean.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, theoretically, I mean, Elvis was 44 years old when he passed away in 1977,
Right.
right? uh, August. So, how old would he be today if he was alive? Do the math because I'm not good at that stuff.
I'm not good at it either.
Come on,
44.
boy. Yeah,
He'd be
795.
192.
All right, so let's just say 77, 87,
97.
97, 2007, 2017, right? So that's 40 years.
Right.
So 44, 84, 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay, so then add that 7, so 8, so he'd be 87. No, can it be 87? No, he'd be like 97.
Okay.
He'd be like 97. 97 or 87. No, actually, no, he'd be, yeah, he'd be like 80, I think
87.
87, yeah, 87. Still, he still can go.
Sure.
He'd still be alive.
Of
You know what I
course.
mean? And Prince was only 50.
Yeah.
And so was
Yeah.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson. Yeah, that's right.
Another one. Michael Jackson.
Listen,
Kurt
you got,
Cobain.
yeah. No, you,
Jimi
listen.
Hendrix.
Wow.
Janis Joplin.
Yeah.
Jim
Jim
Morrison.
Morris. It's
They'd all
interesting.
be alive today.
Do you want to hear something interesting? That this morning I was thinking of like those three people,
Really?
just like their lives and going so early, and I was thinking about those people who died early in
Yeah.
those years, and I'm going, wow.
Yeah.
I watched the I don't know if you saw the Bob Marley movie.
I have not seen that yet.
It's
How was?
actually pretty good. Very well. The guy who played him was amazing. Did just a
Hmm,
fantastic job. Now he didn't die because of drugs. He actually died
right.
because of cancer. But he was 30. What was
Yeah,
he?
he was like
30. He was in his
35,
early 30
36,
or maybe mid
36,
30s or
like that.
something
Like,
like that. But I
yeah,
mean, way too soon
way,
for
way too
what
soon.
he was doing and accomplishing
And
in that young.
influencing,
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
influencing tremendous people. I mean, I think that the sad part is that, these people influence so many people that that part of their influence is gone. Even though their music lives on and we
Yeah,
remember them, there was this thing that they really needed help with, and no one around them could get them right,
yeah,
and it's like, and again, I don't know, I've never taken any drugs, so I don't know what drugs do to you and
right.
how they make you feel, and I don't know about, I've had traumatic things in my life, I've had horrible things happen, I deal with them, but I never thought to take drugs. Some people do that, so I don't know what went on, but the sad part for me is like, man, was there no one around that can just sit down with like Elvis and be like, Elvis, you know how important you are to this planet. You know how much we need you here for the next 40 years. We need you around, you know and it just wasn't there.
But I always say, and again, this could be a whole nother show, but I always say in that situation with celebrities, not just with regular folks, with celebrities, it's actually a double, a
Double-edged
two,
sword.
yeah, no, it's a twofold problem
Oh yeah,
because of the addiction and the celebrity, right?
correct.
Because the addiction is one thing. You try to get the addiction is hard enough to deal with, right? Because you're a slave to that reactive part that's constantly trying
You're
to
trying you're trying to handle
you're
something.
trying to handle that, right? But then you've got to deal with the celebrity part where this this is a powerful person that you probably work for that you don't say no to.
But that's my point, that there was no one around him who was willing to risk it. Like, let me tell you something.
Yeah, but
If
do you really think that they would have thought, okay, well, yeah, you're right, I shouldn't be doing this?
if they if they had the right people around them, I'll give you an example, like, or a, a scenario, a made up scenario. If there was someone, if one of our bandmates that when we were playing out there, were heavy into something and we had huge success,
Right.
you and I would,
True. Agree.
we would,
Agree.
and we would say, you either have to handle this or you got to go, or we got to get you into a program. So now that's a group.
But
Now
we're
we're
on the
talking
same
about.
level, though.
That's true. That's true. I mean, it depends. What if it was the lead singer and we're just, what if it was the lead singer
It's
and the
it's
band is over,
it's
right?
still, but
And
again,
I'd
it's
be fine with that.
right. But what I'm saying, and I
I mean,
I
yeah, you did
understand
not say
that.
no to these people, and I think
Right,
that that's an.
Elvis. I mean, you're not gonna say Elvis. You're gonna do something, or else you're no. Elvis gonna be like, no, I'm replacing all of you.
Let me tell you something. If I sat down across Elvis at any point, if I could have it, I would say, this is what I would say. I would say, listen to me, Elvis. Okay, listen to me carefully. All right. No, I know I'm wearing your suit. That's not. I know that's not what we're here for. I wanted to see what it fit like, and it fits nice.
You're not
But
in my
that's not
suit.
why I'm here. No, I would say, I would say to Elvis, would your mother approve of the decisions that you're making today? He loved his mom so much. She was in a movie that he did. I can't remember which movie it was, but she was in the audience. And after she passed, he never watched that film his whole life, the rest of his life. He never
Right.
sat down. If it was on, he would be turn it off.
Right.
He never saw it again. He loved his mother. His father was alive for a pretty long time. His father was there. His father was a very timid, seemed like a quiet guy. Maybe not the guy that. There's some fathers who are just not going to sit you down and have that conversation with you, like, son, I need to
Yeah.
talk to you about this. Unfortunately, but he had to. Somebody has to risk it. somebody has to take the bullet. And if he says you're over here, then you get up and you go and you say, just remember this conversation because I'm only doing it because I care about you. Somebody has to have that conversation. Same thing with Whitney. She's got all these amazing people around her.
I'm
I mean,
pretty
in a
sure that
bathtub, she
I'm
died in a I mean, this
I'm
is
pretty sure
dirty.
though that people had some tried to have that
No,
conversation with a Whitney Houston. You don't think that family that
not
she
that
came
way.
that
Not that
family that
way.
she came from
Yes,
that
I'm
mu-
sure that some of
that
them tried.
that they tried?
I'm sure that some of them tried, but when you are not just an entertainer that makes money, when you are an actual entity, when you affect stock markets, when you affect the economy of if you go to a small town and you do a concert at a small town, the economy of that small town gets lifted up.
You do a rally in the Bronx.
Yeah. You do a rally in the Bronx if you're like somebody famous, like I don't know, Stevie B. If you come in and if you do something like that, you affect the economy of that neighborhood.
True,
You know what I mean?
true.
So for me, it's there are people that are on the payroll. There are people that are on, and and of course, listen, Whitney talked a good game, right? I mean, she talked. We're doing the show now. We're just gonna go right into the next show. To the next show about this. No, but no, we'll wrap up in a minute. If you're still hanging out, thank you very much. Mwah, love y'all. But Whitney, for instance, was a good talker. She was
Hmm.
on, many talk shows where she was like, "No, crack is cheap."
Right.
So she's basically saying she only does high quality stuff, right? Um, so she had she had a good way of defending herself. And Clive Davis does talk about having a conversation with her.
Yeah.
And Clive did tell her, and Clive did warn her, and Clive loved her, and she said to him, I'm fine. I don't
Yeah.
have to worry about
Yeah.
this.
Yep.
Fine. I don't know why you're so worried about this. I promise you, I'm fine. And there are those cases where, unfortunately, you cannot help.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
You're right.
Um, I guess what I'm feeling is more frustration from this, because
Sure.
you miss, the Michael Jackson thing was to me just senseless.
Yeah.
And I told you the story before. This is my last thing. I'll tell it again. Um, I was on the 4 train heading home. I'm listening, and sw- I'm listening because he's gonna do 50 shows,
Yeah.
right? And I'm
Yep.
psyched
Yeah.
because I know, and in my head, I'm thinking, I'm psyched because I know that those 50 shows, every artist that has ever played with him on anything is going to make an appearance.
Yep.
So, Paul McCartney is going to come up and they're going to do say
Oh yeah.
what you want, right? And the other one, the girl is gone.
Girl is mine.
What is it? The girl is
Girl
what?
is mine.
The girl is mine. The girl is a mime. Because the girl is a mime. So all these songs, they're gonna come on and they're gonna do that. There's another one. I was thinking Slash is gonna come on and he's gonna do
Hmm.
a.
Yep.
Eddie Van Halen's gonna come out and he's gonna do the solo for. All these artists are gonna come out and it's gonna be an incredible 50 shows and we're gonna get to see the video, we're gonna see the performances and all that. So I go to my iPod and I put my iPod in and I started listening to Michael Jackson because that's what and that was the day. I'm waiting for the I get home and the first thing I do, I turn on the TV and Michael Jackson gone. And my heart, I literally was sitting on the couch frozen for I don't know how long. I just sat there. So things like that frustrate me because you and I know that you can handle physical pain through natural remedies. We also know that you can handle mental anguish through other sources, other ways, and that don't include medication and don't include drugs. And these kinds of things are how we live.
Yeah.
It's how we live our lives. So I guess that's the frustrating part. So anyway,
Yeah. Just yeah. But and just a quick piggyback on that. Well, I had to tell my daughter who
Oh,
was completely obsessed
oh,
with him. Okay, I mean, obsessed with Thriller and Beat It and watching his concert over and over daily. I had to come home and tell her that he had died. It
oh,
was so hard for me because
that's
she
the worst.
loved him. So it was just, yeah, and I'll never. That's one of those days that you never forget.
No,
You know, forget exactly what you were doing
yeah,
that day.
you always remember where you were.
Yeah,
I remember where. Yeah, there's certain artists that when they pass and it's a sudden thing, you feel it's so weird. You never met them.
right,
You know,
exactly.
never
Yeah,
met them, never shook hands, never had a conversation, never an email, a text, or nothing.
hmm,
But there's this thing that you have with them that you feel like they're part of your life. You
correct.
know, I felt it with Robin Williams
Mm,
when Robin, Prince
yep,
destroyed me. Michael Jackson. I was too young. I knew who Elvis Presley was, but I didn't know the significance of Elvis Presley when he passed.
right,
But I remember my mom screaming her lungs out in the house. And I remember I was with her that day. I was mainly raised by my grandparents, but for that one particular day, I was with her.
right.
And I just remember her just screaming at the top of her lungs. And I was like, "What happened?" And, she was just crying, she's bawling.
Wow.
So there's certain artists that you just feel are very close, and they're just gone too soon.
Yeah.
They're gone too soon. Like I really was sad with Mr. Rogers when he passed,
Mm-hmm.
but he also lived a longer life, and he did his work, and it was a different type of thing. It's that sort of like boom, where like you're like Stevie Ray Vaughan. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
Stevie Ray
Neil
Vaughan
Peart.
and Neil Peart. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We had no idea.
No, no
I mean,
idea.
nobody knew he was even sick.
Exactly.
So that was like another shocker. So yeah, so I'm glad we ended up on a high note. Um,
We
we aim to please, we aim to elevate society and raise you so you can feel good about everything. So we talk about
Amen.
dead artists. Amen. No, but we love Dolly Parton.
Mm-hmm.
She's an icon. She's an inspiration, but she's also a tremendous influence on a lot
Yes.
of people too.
Agreed.
So you really want to kind of like follow in those footsteps. No matter what kind of an artist you are, follow an artist that keeps their integrity, does their thing, and like Steve Martin says, be so good they
They
can't
can
ignore
ignore you.
and I think that that's really the best advice that we can give any artist out there. So
Agreed.
cool. All right, folks, want to thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate you. By the way, it is Memorial Day weekend, so we want to give a shout out and respect to all our the fallen and those that are currently serving soldiers out there, and thank you for keeping us safe and in the greatest country in the world, the US of A. And we thank you and we appreciate you. So God bless you all. We'll see you all again next Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. George Batista, John Henry Soto, The Artist Blueprint. Thank you very much. See you. And as always,